The US real estate market has been kind of sluggish lately, right? But while that's been happening, one group of buyers has come roaring back, pouring billions into American homes. So today, we're going to dive into this surprising rebound of foreign buyers and what it all means for the market. And we have to start with the headline number. All right, let's just put a number on this thing right away. We're talking about a one-year period ending in March 2024. In that time, foreign buyers spent a staggering $56 billion on U.S. residential properties. I mean, that is just a massive injection of capital. It's signaling a huge shift in the market. And okay, it's not just about the total dollar amount, which is already wild. The number of homes they bought also jumped, get this, by 44% in a single year. To give you some context here, this is the first time we've seen any kind of increase in foreign buyer activity since way back in 2017. So something is definitely happening. And this right here is really the core of the story. This incredible surge, it happened while the U.S. domestic market was slamming on the brakes. We're talking slowing to its lowest sales level in almost 30 years. It's this exact contrast that makes this whole rebound so fascinating. So the big question is, who is actually behind this multi-billion-dollar trend? Let's take a look at the key players driving this international investment boom. All right, look at this. China has jumped right back into the top spot, spending a massive $13.7 billion. That is more than double the next country on the list, which is Canada. And right behind our neighbors to the north, you've got buyers from Mexico, India, and the UK rounding out a really powerful top five. And when you look at it this way, you can really see just how concentrated this investment is. I mean, if you combine them, just these 5 countries, they make up nearly half of all foreign home purchases. It really goes to show you that global real estate trends, well, they're often driven by the economic power of just a handful of nations. Okay, if you want to understand the sheer purchasing power we're talking about, just consider this one number. The average home price for a buyer from China was $1.2 million. Wow. This tells you the rebound isn't just about how many buyers there are, but the incredible financial weight they're throwing around. Okay, so now we know who is buying. The next logical question, of course, is where? Where in the U.S. is all this international money actually going? So, the big 3 states here probably won't be a huge surprise to you, but the scale just might be. Florida is still king, continuing its reign as the top destination. It's attracting 21% of all foreign buyers. Then you've got the usual powerhouses, California at 15%, and Texas capturing 10% of the market. And this is where the story gets really interesting, because it's not random at all. You see, Florida is a huge magnet for both Canadians and buyers from Latin America. Texas, too, draws heavily from Latin America. But California? That's a different story. Its surge is being overwhelmingly powered by buyers from Asia, and especially from China. So it's not just about who and where they're buying, it's also about how they buy. And that's what really sets these international clients apart. Their whole approach to the market is just fundamentally different from your typical US buyer. Yeah, when you put them side by side with domestic buyers, a really clear pattern emerges. For starters, international clients are buying more expensive homes. They're way more likely to pay in all cash. And a lot of the time, they're buying these places as investments. For vacation or rental income, not as their main home. They are absolutely playing a different game. Okay, let's just pause on that all-cash number for a second. 47%. Think about that. In a market where a lot of domestic buyers are struggling with financing and high interest rates, almost half of these international buyers are just walking in with cash in hand. That gives them a huge, huge advantage, and it can completely reshape the local markets they decide to enter. So you might be wondering, how in the world do they navigate such a complex process from thousands of miles away? Well, it turns out there's a pretty well-established playbook, and understanding it really shows you just how sophisticated and deliberate these investments are. Yeah, it's the question that's probably on your mind right now. How exactly do you buy U.S. property from another country? How do you handle all the banking, the taxes, the legal stuff from so far away? Well, the whole process really starts long before they even think about making an offer. These buyers have to do their homework. First, they've got to establish a financial foothold here with a U.S. bank account. Then they have to deal with the IRS to get a special tax ID number. On top of that, they've got to research a whole patchwork of state-specific laws. And for the ones who aren't paying cash, Well, trying to get a mortgage as a non-resident adds a whole other layer of complexity. And then you got regulations like FIRPTA. Now, that name sounds pretty intimidating, right? But what it really is basically a prepayment of taxes. So when a foreign investor sells a property, the government withholds 15% of the sale price. It's just to make sure the taxes actually get paid. It's not a new tax, just a prepayment. And it's a key rule that every single international investor has to know about. So all this extra paperwork, from getting tax numbers to clearing international wire transfers, it all means one thing. The whole process just takes longer. A typical closing for a U.S. buyer might take, 30 to 45 days? Well, these international deals can easily take twice as long. We're talking 45 to 90 days, and sometimes even longer if the deal is really complex. So at the end of the day, this $56 billion rebound, it's really more than just a real estate story. It's a global economic story. It's about the search for stability and the fact that U.S. property has this enduring appeal as a safe place to park your capital. The players have clearly changed since 2017, and that leaves us with one really big question to think about. As global wealth keeps shifting and moving around, who is going to be buying America next?